All right. And as they're telling me here to tell you, please like, follow, share, and this live and subscribe to our channel. Then you will receive notifications every time we go live. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's do that, and let me get back to here. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So you can't see me, but you can hear me. If you go to Instagram, you can see me because the camera's working there as usual. Um, and so it's a shame. I hate it. It's still not on. All right. Well, whatever. God. Um, I wanted to remind everyone that we're starting the new year with a fast, a water fast, and I don't know if I got that message out to everyone clearly enough. But the water fast is um, a short one. It's 5 to 7 days, whatever you can manage, and then our challenge to everyone is to do try a 6 month 100% raw vegan. Listen, you've eaten how many years? 20, 30, 40, 50 years you've eaten. Now you want to eat another 50 years. So you take this period of time to go through a process that's very important. And the process that we're going, the process I'm talking about is um, the journey to health, regardless if you're having CFCs manifest, if you're having parasites, if you're having arthritis, cardiac problems, diabetes, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all due to one thing, and that is an accumulated toxicity. And the toxicities are from living on planet Earth. All right. So you were inundated with all sorts of EMF, microwave, and I don't even know what. There's a special wave they call 6G. I don't know. It's like even smaller. It carries a lot of information and a lot of power too. Anyway, we're inundated with that, and our immune systems just were not designed to manage that. I mean, they get disrupted. So that's one of the major problems. The other thing is that they also cause direct damage to cells. So that the stresses of being alive and working on planet Earth, unless you're living in a rural community where everything is pretty nice and you know you're having a real authentic relationship with life. You have your feet on the ground, you're growing food. If that's your case, then you're in good shape. But otherwise, we're stressed out. We're stressed out because we're late for an appointment. We're stressed out because we had a bad hair day, which I have every day. We have uh, regrets, things we want to do but we haven't been able to do. I mean, they just pile up, and those all contribute to the activation of the adrenal gland, which produces cortisol and epinephrine, also known as adrenaline. And with that, with that does the cortisol, it increases your blood pressure, your blood glucose, which puts you into even if you're not consuming lots of glucose, you're not consuming potatoes and French fries and bread, you're going to have a high glucose. All right, so you're going to get all the things that are associated with that, um, which is a metabolic disaster. Is what happens, and that's just one of the things. There's other things. The other thing that happens with the adrenal, um, constant adrenal output, is that it affects the flow of blood to our different organs. So instead of the blood going to our internal organs, which we need to live, it's shunted away. There's still some blood going, of course, but it's shunted away to the muscles, and it's shunted away from the prefrontal cortex, so that making decisions is very difficult. Um, it's suppresses immune function, so it's really not a good idea to be stressed. And so, yeah, I can't help being stressed. It's not. I don't choose to be stressed, of course not. So, what do we do with stress? We learn how to manage it. We understand how to manage it, and the way we manage it is by um, learning how to not think. There was a psychologist named by the name of Albert Ellis who founded a therapeutic school in psychology called the rational emotive therapy, right? And this was based on the fact that when you have a thought, it's rational. Um, it produces an emotion. That emotion will then set off different thinking. And what I mean by that is that when you have okay, what is an emotion? What is a thought? An emotion is just simply a thought associated with a biochemical physiological response. So the fundamental biological physiological response that we all have is um, fear. That's foundational. All right, and we can give it different names, but that's what it is. It's fear, and fear, um, as I said before, it shuts down healing, shuts down immunity, shuts down the ability to make critical decisions, and it does this because the fear is located in our brain in a place called the amygdala, right there in the midbrain. And the amygdala, in fact, if we do a PET scan of someone who's in fear, a PET scan is where you inject fluorodeoxyglucose and you wait a while, like an hour, and then you do a scan and you see wherever there's being more glucose picked up because there's more activity. So usually we use that with CFCs because the CFCs are going to they need 19 times more glucose than normal cells, average cells. But in in fear, the amygdala is just metabolizing rapidly, and it lights up really brightly. What it does is it overrides it, disconnects the ability of the synapses, the connections to the prefrontal cortex. So neurologically, you can't make a decision. You've been shut off. But that also affects the immune system profoundly. Natural killer cells go down, gamma interferon production goes down, dendritic cells are inactivated, macrophages are converted to macrophages that actually help whatever nasty process is going on. So the cells are either recruited to work against us or are inactivated. Yeah, it's pretty insane. And all we have to do is turn off the mind. So to turn off the mind, we have to do that through a process known as meditation. And meditation has nothing to do with religion. You need to understand that. So if you're Jewish or Christian or Muslim, you will not be violating the tenets of your religion. Okay, because you're not praying to anyone. It's not a prayer. Meditation is not a prayer. It's just listening. So if you pray first, and then sit back and have the courtesy to God to listen to the answer instead of getting up and walking away. And that's what it is. But if you're 100% listening, you're not thinking. It's like if you've ever been reading a book, you're not in that chair. You're wherever that book is. You're not there anymore. That's really, in that situation, you're listening with your eyes. Now, if you can listen with your inner ear, so for 2 minutes, 5 times a day, it's only 2 minutes, 5 times a day. Do that religiously. Close your eyes, put an eye mask on if you have to, put earplugs if you have to, and sit and just listen with all your heart and soul to your breathing. I mean, this is the simplest and most and easiest way for someone to meditate. And once you connect 100% to your breathing, then you're no longer there. If you're listening 100%, all right, that's and the only way you know you were really listening is that you when you come back, you say, oh yeah, I must have been listening because I wasn't here. All right, that means you take your full attention. When you do that, and there are tests, this is called psychoneuroimmunology. It's actually a field of study. It's been around since about the 70s. And it actually looks at psycho, which is the mind, neuro, which is the brain, and then immunology, which is the immune system. So there's a direct connection. Um, so the thoughts affect the immune system via the uh, central nervous system. Okay, it's that profound, and we are able. There's many studies out. We're able to actually measure those differences, those immunological changes. So, someone in fear, we're going to see all these cells be suppressed and start doing other things as well, working against us. Um, and we see the opposite when someone is in absolute joy, happiness, or whatever. But since joy and happiness and fear and sadness and all that is not really something you can consciously control, is you're going to go up and down. You're going to go through that all day long as your thoughts appear in your head. You know, some might cause uh, happy a happy response. Some might cause a sad response or a fear response. So therefore, just turn off the mind, because when you turn it off, and what the studies show is that with the catheter in the arm, people who are advanced meditators, they've been doing it for 30, 40 years, can get to that state rapidly. You can measure all the immunological parameters go up like instantly. So psychoneuroimmunology, very, very important. And the reason I'm saying that too is because uh, we don't have control over our thinking, and that has to be remembered. And it's hard. A lot of people don't want to accept that, because we want to feel like we're in control, but we're not, because we don't know where our thoughts come from. They just happen in our head. Our heart's beating, our lungs are breathing, our glands are secreting, our metabolism is happening. We're sweating, we're not sweating, whatever that we have no idea how that is happening. And the same with our thoughts; they just come into our head, and then we pay attention to them or not. So the rational emotive component that I was talking about with Dr. Albert Ellis was a thought comes into your mind. You're involved in a situation with somebody, and there's one classic example of a woman who went out with a man. She was looking for a husband. She went out with a man, and he was perfect. Um, a perfect man for her, and she had a wonderful time. And he dropped her off, and they said goodbye, and they'll connect soon. And he never called her again. So that's the facts. Those are the data. What she told herself is, therefore, there's something wrong with me. Therefore, I'll never get anybody. Therefore. And all of that rational, emotive. So the first the data, emotion, then the thought again was I'll never get anybody. I'm going to be alone all my life, and all of that. And now that she's experiencing that, and it's all because of what she's telling herself. It's that self-talk. It's the internal dialogue. Yeah. So what he would do is he would work with them to help them change their internal dialogue. And that takes a while, and it takes a lot of work. In the meantime, learn to turn it all off. And when you turn it all off, when the mind, if the mind is thinking, 80% of the thoughts are negative. It's just the way it is. We grew up like that. All right. So we know that 90% of the mind is subconscious, below the level of access. Only 10% is conscious. 10% is engaged with the world, what we're doing. But 90% is subconscious, and it's running the show. It's how that's who's driving the car. That's who's making the tea or coffee. Right? You're not doing it because you're thinking about that, this, and that. Tomorrow, yesterday, I could, but maybe I did. What? That's where our minds are going. So we're not there in that. We're not making the coffee or the tea. So that's the autonomic. That's the subconscious, and 80% of human thought is negative. So if you're thinking at all, that 80% is. So we got to turn it off. How do we turn it off? We stop thinking. How do we stop thinking? We focus on the breath until we're right there, and then it goes away, and we enter a doorway, and that's what we're looking for. That doorway is the doorway to a place called now, and that now is eternal. It never began, and it will never end. Okay, it's something unfathomable, right? We can easily consider things might never end, but to think that they never began, that's Just hard for us. um, and the only way we can begin to conceive of that concept or allow that concept into our mind is with the word now. So anyway, I wanted to preface that. So we're gonna do we're gonna do a fast because we're would I biopsy a tumor of the prostate because it's spread? No. Why would you biopsy something that you already know what it is when you know that a biopsy is going to cause it to? First of all, it's a trauma. It's a traumatic event, and the prostate gland to protect itself becomes inflamed, and chronic inflammation underlies all these processes that we're talking about, CFCs. Um, and so you're just contributing to the uh, fuel. Number one. Number two, the act of biopsying actually spreads cells. And then third, you already know what it is. So what's going to help? The reason they like to continue doing biopsies is because they don't know how to help you. So they want to be doing something. Anyway, yeah, fear is the opposite of faith. Faith is when you know what's going to happen. Fear, and the bridge between fear and faith is knowledge, right? When you know, I mean, if you understand physiology and you understand biology, and you understand that if you whatever situation is going on, oh, okay, you just got to do this, and this. My body won't do that anymore, and that's absolutely true. And once you know that, there's no fear. Fear is based on unknown and doubt. Um, so now I can't answer these questions because I really have to. I owe it to the people that sent in questions. But I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to modify this the format of this Sunday night live to maybe half sent in questions that have been sent in already, and then the second half to spontaneous ones. Because I mean, there's just too much of that. I think that would be a good idea. All right. So anyway, let's go get started. But I want to mention about fasting too. Remember, if you can, that. Hmm. All right. Well, the thing about fasting, and I what's amazing to me about fasting, and the reason, and this is relevant to all of you, whether you have parasites, CFCs, arthritis, lupus, any of those things they make up, you're in ill health for one reason or another. Regardless of that, you need to clear out the waste, which is the accumulated wastes, which initiated this whole problem and sustains it as the first step. And then you provide the body with everything it does need and nothing of which it doesn't need. That's how you begin to restore physiology. And then then you balance the systems. What systems? The autonomic nervous system, right? The parasympathetic, sympathetic. We're all sympathetic overdrive. You need to enhance parasympathetic. And the meditation, of course, is going to turn off to a great degree the sympathetic. We need to balance the endocrine system. That's our hormone system. We have to balance it. Not unbalance it, not take injections that will shut off our hypothalamic pituitary axis to our gonads, ovaries or testes. No, all that, and use blockers and all that. Then you're increasing the imbalance. So this is impossible to heal. You got to restore balance because a balanced, healthy, uh, uh, cycling hormone system is health. It's just the way it is. And heal the gut so that you can, because the gut is where it's all happening. And then you've got a gut biome, microbiome, which are the conductors of life. So anyway, when you fast, That happens. But initially, within the first 3 days, you go into a state of ketosis, meaning that your body is using, the organs in your body are using ketones, which are breakdown products of fat, um, for energy rather than glucose. They all do that except the brain. The brain, what, 1% of our body weight uses at least 20% of our glucose. So when we first get into that state of ketosis after the second, third day, all of our organs are using ketones predominantly, but the brain's still using glucose. So in order for that to happen, since we're not eating any glucose, our liver has a process that we've named gluconeogenesis. Neo meaning new, genesis meaning produce, create, neogen. So it makes new, or it makes glucose out of amino acids, which come from muscle. So the amino acids in your muscle are taken and turned into turns into glucose. This is why at the end of a 41-day water fast, if we do a finger stick on you, we're going to find your glucose is normal. How could your glucose be normal? You're not eating, because the body needs glucose. So that's another thing we have to get away from, is the fact that glucose is bad. There's no good and bad in nature. Nature is functional. It functions and it operates under the law of necessity. Whatever's necessary happens, right? It's not that it's good or bad. It's just necessary. All right. So never consider that. Never think your body's doing something wrong. The witches and warlocks in the House of Horrors want you to think that your body's against you, like or stupid, such as autoimmune disease. The body, my immune system thinks my thyroid is the enemy. No, it's under the auspices of divine intelligence. It can't happen. No, that's not what happened. So anyway, autoimmune, lupus. Oh, my body our immune system never works against us. It's always doing what it needs. We may not be able to have identified what it is that stimulated this particular response by the immune system. Doesn't mean, because it doesn't just act on its own. Our cells don't act on their own. They act in response. They're really not proactive. They're reactive. And so whatever you're eating produces the fuel and the fuel and the parts which allow metabolism to happen. Okay, so you've stopped eating. You got that. You're breaking down fat now because there's no glucose. There is glucose, but it stays at a very low minimal level. And the reason there's still glucose is not because we're using some of it for energy, but most of it is being used for the other purposes for glucose, which is biosynthesis, which is the body making proteins, the body making peptides, the body making neurotransmitters, the body making enzymes, the body making regulatory and signaling molecules, the body making cholesterol, the body making fats. That's it. It needs the carbon backbone from the glucose. And the same with glutamine. Glutamine, which is the other second fuel for CFCs, it's part of it. It can enter the Krebs cycle, which is oxidative phosphorylation, which is oxygen, which is high yield energy from glucose. It can enter it and be used for fuel to produce ATP, which is energy. But it's also used, again, for its structure. The nitrogen in there, because it's an amino acid, the nitrogen can be used for making other amino acids, for making nucleic acids. So, anyway, but you're not eating anything, so you're not getting any exogenous glutamine. However, glutamine is a non-essential amino acid, meaning if we have the 9 essential amino acids, then we're able to make the other 11. So glutamine is non-essential, meaning we can make it. So glutamine levels don't fall either. However, they're at the very, very minimum, and your body's running on ketones. After 11 days, your brain joins the club, joins the movement, and it goes into ketosis, starts using ketones. At that point, the liver no longer needs to make uh, gluconeogenesis to the same degree that it was. And so now what happens? How are we going to satisfy those fundamental glucose needs? The body goes on a scavenging hunt and locates every non-essential tissue, cysts, plaques in the artery, tumors, um, and even benign growth like fibromas or anything like that, or lipomas. It takes them and it recycles them because in everything is, glucose is, it's a six carbon sugar, but it's called, we won't go into the biochemistry, but basically it's in everything and it can be extracted. And remember, so anyway, so it goes on that hunt and it starts recycling and eliminating all non-essential tissue, which are plaques and tumors and cysts and stuff like that. So basically, during the fast, after 11 days, you actually clear out your arteries. So if you were scheduled for bypass surgery on your heart because you had an occlusion of 96% of your coronary artery, after 21-day, 28-day fast, you're no longer critical, and you've got maybe 82%. So it's cysts are gone, fibroids. I mean, they don't go that quickly. You might have to do the if it's a large fibroid or something like that. You might have to uh, do this fast for as long as you can. Eat real food for a 6-week interval, then do another fast. You do it a few times, but that's the only way. It's the only cure handed down to us by God. And we know that's handed by God because we know that every creature on the planet, when they're sick, stop eating. That's what they do. They stop eating because they're under the auspices of instinct. Instinct is the divine web by which we are all connected to the wisdom of God, to the intelligence of divinity. And humans, unfortunately, reject instinct by the age of 3 and learn to be culturally appropriate rather than instinctual. We're not instinctual creatures. We're cultural creatures. We respond with the appropriate words, gestures, and then also what is the foundation of all cultures? The foundation, the centerpiece, that piece of the culture around which we exchange intimacies and vulgarities and food, cuisine. The cuisine is the centerpiece. And so we have business lunches, we have romantic dates, we have graduation parties, we whatever wedding, funeral, it doesn't matter. We eat, and we eat the food of our culture, and that's what runs in families. Yeah, genes have an effect. If your parents have blue eyes, you're gonna have blue eyes. Unless somebody in the distant, your great grandmother, you might. But for the most part, genetics determine, height, weight, lots of things. But however, the day-to-day, moment-by-moment activities of a cell is in response to its environment. And so when it doesn't have enough of this, it'll make more of that. And so it's responding, it's adapting. That's it. It's adaptive physiology. We are all involved in adaptive physiology. And we're adapting to a continuously changing external environment and a continually changing internal environment because we're taking it in, we're breathing it, we're coming through our skin, we're eating it. So, and then of course our thinking, our stress, and all that, so all that. So, our body's job is to maintain functional integrity in the face of all this continual change, and that's called homeostasis, adaptive physiology. Anyway, so we're going to begin this fast today, now, right? And we're going to do it for at least 5 to 7 days, and we're going to then go into 100% raw food. We're going to do it for 6 months. That's all. And you don't have to prepare for it. You just have to. Your mind has once you say okay, then it's done. So the hardest part of a fast, the hardest part of any kind of endeavor like that or changing diet is the willingness to say okay. And once you say okay, so if you're eating 100% raw vegan, and someone hands you something, if it's not uncooked and it's not a plant, I'm not going to eat it. It's just really simple. All right. So, and then join our group so we can, because we're going to monitor, we'll monitor everybody, because you can't just, uh, in today's world, when Moses did it, it was fine. When Jesus did it, it was fine. But, and even 100 years ago, um, even 80 years ago, with Herbert Shelton's fasting farm in San Antonio, we didn't need to monitor and all that. But, now we've got a lot of extra variables, right? So it's good to have someone monitor, although you don't need it. All right. So our first question is from Jeannie. And she says, lung CFCs. Good morning. I had a CT scan with contrast done and showed up with 4 nodules. How can I shrink them and or make them disappear? Okay. Let me find you guys again. Where are you? I'm going to go back to this. There we are. All right. Are there any people on, anybody on Restream? Hammy, anybody on the Restream? All right. Real quick, a couple questions there. Blood type does not matter. All right. Blood type does not matter. I don't know how that became so popular. I guess we like I don't know. I don't know what it is. We like weird. Listen, horses have what, 7 types of blood types. Dogs, cats, they're all many different subtypes. They don't have to eat different food. Why would we? And how would my blood type have to do with my eating? Anyway. All right. Does arsenic, is it more deadly to blood type O or B? It's insane. So okay, so it has no poisons. Poisons are poisons. Okay, so any blood types can take the poison, but so it's a bizarre. Diamato, the guy who came up with this, he made a lot of money, but it's absurd. Would your blood type determine the kind of water you should drink or the kind of air you should breathe? No. All right. What do I think about the carnivore diet? It's fantastic for carnivores. Carnivore diet is eating. I know there's doctors. There's a guy out there. I don't remember his name, but you should look at I made a post about that where I split the screen. I had his answer. Someone asked him, "When was the last time, doctor, you ate a plant?" Oh, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I don't believe it, but if you're gonna eat just animals, you better eat it nose to tail. You got to eat everything: cartilage, brain, ovaries, kidneys. You need it all. And that's just the muscle. Okay, the muscle is just a small part of it. You got to eat it all. Carnivores do. A lion, when they're eating an animal, they go for the gut first, and they're eating the organs and drinking the blood, and they're getting all the undigested plant. You got that? Got that? And even if you eat the entire animal uncooked, of course, like the carnivores do, that's what they do. If you're going to be a carnivore, you just pick up a chicken, rip its head off, and eat it. That's it. Just eat it. That's fun. Carnivore. So we don't do that. Do you pick up chicken? No, we don't do that. What do? We cut out the muscle and we prepare it nicely. It's no longer what nature produced. It's a synthetic. It's an artificial product. And got sauces on it, whatever. Or even if we don't, we just put salt and pepper. It doesn't matter. We're eating a cooked, heated up biochemically modified piece of corpse. It's insane to even think that it might make sense. It's insane. And if you want to consider whether or not humans are carnivores, drive your car to go far as you can to find yourself a jungle or a forest. Take all your clothes off, leave them in the car. And if there's a cliff around, push the car over the cliff so you can't get out. Go into that forest or jungle and you tell me what is for dinner. Because you only now are equipped with what you were born with, what God gave you, and that is hands, a mind, and we're not equipped to kill. If we want to kill, we need to utilize a tool, a weapon. Lions don't, dogs don't, raccoons don't, rats don't, tigers don't, okay? Because they were equipped by nature then. Also, you have never, I can promise you, I don't even talk to you, I've never met you, I can promise you, you've never looked at a cow grazing in the pasture and started to salivate and lick your lips and say, wow, looks good. No, we're not at all culinarily attracted to animals, live animals. And we're certainly not attracted to corpses. And then you would never be passing a corpse and get down on your hands and knees like your dog would and smell it and see if it's okay to still eat. No. All right. So that's insane. It's insane. And our body's not designed for it. Can we get by with it? Sure. For a while. But we have to get by. The way we get by with it is by adapting. And adaptations are what the Rockefellers call disease. Can you get by with heroin? Sure. Smoking? Yes, sure. Alcohol every day? Sure. You can get away with it. And I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a functional alcoholic. Whatever that means, just means you haven't yet failed to adapt. All right. So all this stuff is the reality of it. All right. Fruitarian. We're not fruitarian either. Fruit is a major part of our diet. Yeah, if you look at the chimps, the bonobos, they're pretty much the ones that eat the most of it because their fingers are much longer than their thumb. They don't have that opposition like gorillas do, and so they cannot manipulate and pick apart leaves. Anyway, they eat a lot of fruit. The gorillas love fruit, but they're just sitting around eating plants. They're hindgut fermenters. Anyway, so we're not either of them. We're not chimps. We're not gorillas, but we're in the same group of organisms, and we've got a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. But basically, the length of our small intestines versus the length of our small intestines, the presence of a cecum, the digestive capabilities, the enzymes produced by the liver, and if you look at it all, you'll understand what we eat. That's it. That's what we're designed for. And as I said, we can get away with doing things that violate our biological needs, but the consequences are we eventually cannot adapt, and we lose. All right, I gotta answer these questions. So to Jeannie, how can you shrink them, make them disappear? Well, remember, they are not them. All right, and this is where we start to change our language. Now we're calling them chronically fermenting cells. What that tells us already is that there are cells that are fermenting as an adaptive response. What? To having lost their mitochondria. That's what they are. So it's not that you want to shrink them or get rid of them, because looking at that implies that they're other than us. They're not other than us. They're us trying to stay alive. What we have to do is make sure that that adaptive response they're engaging in, called chronic fermentation, is no longer necessary. Then they go away. But in a complete program where you have, you've identified where these chronically fermenting cells have started, in a complete comprehensive program, there are multiple things going on. But the three main categories of the program are: stop making this stuff, and that involves everything from what we eat, when we go to sleep, the amount of movement we have, the relationships we have, what we eat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Meditation, prayer, all those things affect our body's ability, our body's ability to function optimally. Because optimal functioning of the organism is the only true definition of health. And optimal functioning of the organism can only occur when the organism is having all of their biological needs satisfied, which means it's not being exposed to or being inundated with toxins, things they don't need. So what we need is that which we need for healthy metabolism, and what we also need is not to be exposed to that which we don't need, toxins, and we don't need excesses. So basically, what we're talking about is when the body has to adapt, is because there's a deficiency. It's not getting enough of something like oxygen, whatever, food. Number two, excess is getting too much of something, and the third is toxicities. Those are what disturb the balance, require adaptation, and you've got a problem. You're managing it, your body's managing it until you can restore your lifestyle such that the body no longer needs to engage in that activity. So the first part, Jeannie, is eliminating all the toxins, and that's an ongoing process. I detoxed. You continue, and we have a program for that. You do a long, thorough juice cleanse every 3 to 6 weeks, and you'll feel wonderful. You won't feel terrible, and the juice will be delicious. You go to your biological dentist. You make sure you have no cavitations, you have no root canals, you have no, anything going on that's going to affect your systemic health. That's absolutely important. And all the things we talked about for stop making CFCs. In the second part, we're going to target and eliminate them without harming the healthy cells. And the way we do that is through what's called metabolic therapies. Metabolic therapies are therapies that will eliminate the CFC, for example, not by poisoning, but by putting it in a situation where it doesn't have the equipment to manage it. Example: vitamin C, high dose vitamin C. You're putting in so much ascorbate, which is vitamin C. You're putting in so much ascorbate that the level in your blood in your plasma is above 350 milligrams per deciliter. If it's above that, then you have exceeded the catalase activity in your blood. Okay, what I mean by that, catalase is the enzyme that takes hydrogen peroxide and converts it into water and oxygen. Hydrogen peroxide is a standard biochemical intermediate in metabolism. Happens all the time, every nanosecond. But that's only a step. That's one of the steps on the pathway. So oxygen will enter a cell, for example, and split into 2 atoms of oxygen instead of O2, the molecule, and you have 2 superoxide anions, which are crazy. But we have an enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which turns them into hydrogen peroxide. And then we have another enzyme called catalase, which turns them into water and oxygen, where they're not only harmless, but they're necessary. They're healthy. CFCs don't have that. So we know that. So by knowing the metabolism or the biology of whatever condition you have, then you put your body into a situation where the CFCs or the ulcerated tissue or whatever inflamed joint, uh, it becomes metabolically impossible for them. So in this case, with CFCs, when you get that level above 350 milligrams per deciliter of a vitamin of ascorbate in the blood, it'll spill over into the tumor bed, and the vitamin C, when it hits iron in its trivalent state, which is called ferric acid, and it converts it into ferrous acid. One of the byproducts of that is hydrogen peroxide. So it's producing hydrogen peroxide. So our healthy cells say, great, they turn it into water and oxygen because they have catalase. CFCs don't have it and they die. That's a metabolic therapy. A metabolic therapy doesn't poison anything. It's either neutral or help or supportive of healthy cells, but it's deadly to the CFCs. Those are metabolic therapies. So that's part two. The part three is restoring immune function, because in order for the to have nodules that are chronically fermenting, in order for that to have happened, you have to have the immune system has to have been like toned down a little bit, because the immune system's tough. So we have to restore immune function. So there's three parts to this program, and you got to get started. Yeah. So Jeannie, join our group, or CFC group, or at least any of the groups, so we can start get you on a full program, because you cannot do just this or that. Right? It requires a comprehensive radical change. Because why? Because you got something radical going on inside. And there's never one thing that's going to. All right. So drlodi.com and join the groups, because in there you'll get the basic program, and you'll be able to interact with people we have Telegram groups, and we have Zoom meetings, and then we have other people. So there's a lot of stuff. Okay, so do that. Yeah, so the website is drlodi.com, drlodi.com. Okay. And then on there, you'll see where to join the groups. All right. Now, here's Carrie and Parasites. Please help me. I've been told my liver is half gone. I have bone cysts and degenerative discs and hips. There are literally large insects living inside my body. They move from my feet, arms, legs, and nests on my flanks, over my kidneys, and one on my hip. Yet not one doctor has looked at it, seen, or gotten labs showing these things. I also have other parasites, worms, mites, some organisms that look like mice. I suffer day and night. Wait a minute, what is this here? So, all right, so where were we? I also have other parasites. I suffer day and night for over 5 years now. I've been laughed at and simply ignored. Baker acted knocked out with shots in psych hospital, but not one doc has ever looked. Not one. You can see my neck, face, scalp. Okay. Listen, Carrie. First of all, I know what you're telling me is absolutely true. And by the way, to everybody there, just a real quickie: autoimmune diseases, Hashimoto's, Graves, which we're calling them diseases where the immune system attacked the thyroid. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. What happened was your thyroid glands did not get enough iodine, and in an attempt to adapt, the immune system got activated. All right, they didn't cause it. And why do I know that? Because the Graves, which is the opposite of Hashimoto's, you have hyperthyroid instead of hypothyroid. Um, but you have they're very similar antibodies, and they're elevated. And thyroid function is obviously measurably out of balance. So what do? What have I done? I give them the iodine, and I give them something to, and the iodine will eliminate the hyperthyroid problems symptoms, and they still have high antibodies because the immune system's still on that process. But you don't worry about it. You just keep the thyroid function normal, and after 3 or 4 years, the immune system goes back to normal. That's how it happens. So it's not, don't think that you have a disease, which is this thing that got into you. Okay. So, Carrie, your situation is actually not, sadly, not unique. There are many people that have your exact same, exactly. I mean, and I've seen pictures. It's just, I know it's true. Yeah. So what I would do right away, is get started on an antiparasitic regimen that we have. The 3 antihelminthics, antiprotozoal, probably 2 for you, and then an antifungal. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. 3 weeks on, 1 week off, and do that for 12 cycles if you have to. But in the meantime, we need to collect whatever you can. There are ways to collect it. Different specimens, whether so if you find these in your urine, you collect them. Find them in your stool, you collect them. If in your skin, whatever they're coming out of your nose, out of your ears, whatever, you just need to collect them. We need to get them evaluated so we know what we're dealing with. That's really very important. All right, so you got to get these, and I understand that you could be going crazy. I understand, it's insane, and then there's Morgellons, which is the thing is, these things didn't exist 100 years ago. This is war, everybody. We're at war. I mean, we don't know it. They've declared war on us. They actually told us in 2020. The great hoax was in 2020, actually a declaration of war. Shut us down, confined to our houses. I mean, took over everything. It was it, man. That was it. So, and this war is our adversaries, Rocky and the boys. They own it all. They own it all. So we're not going to. And so what's happening? We're being poisoned in every way. Air, water, food, clothing. Right? You're sleeping at night. You're breathing in. It's just insane. You understand that? And there, you know how William Henry Gates III, also known as Billy Boy, with that sardonic grin. You know about his mosquitoes, right? You know about his mosquitoes. And there's also, that they've aerosolized mRNA. uh, so you can breathe it in. These guys are like satanic geniuses. They're satanic geniuses. They're doing everything, things we haven't even yet thought of on psychological levels, sociological. They took over education. It's just there's no way. If you don't know that this is happening, it becomes unbelievable to try to explain it to people. Because what? It's true. So anyway, what are we gonna do? There ain't nothing we can do. We can't fight them. They've got the direct energy weapons. They've controlled this everything we're gonna get, eat, drink, and all that. So what do we do? Number one, whatever we have to do to get out of here and to a place where we can subsist, food can, where you can depend on yourself to manipulate your environment and live. This is what we were in 1900 and 1800. This is what we were. We were self-sufficient human beings. Now we've become completely dependent on third party. Okay, so we need to do that. We need to get to a place, and whatever it is. I mean, I know I don't have money. Listen, you might think because I have this position, I have money, but I'm not. I'm broke, absolutely broke. If I became disabled tomorrow, I couldn't support myself. Yeah, and yeah, I'm not going to tell you why, but I mean, it's just the way it happened. So it's because I never liked money. Anyway, um, we get to a place where we don't rely on them. That's one big way of getting freedom. And the second thing is, what are we doing? If we're not relying on them, it means we're not engaging in and using um, their products and services, then they're going to go out of business. In other words, we disengage, right? So let's say you had to stay where you are. So we decided, for example, on December 1st or March 1st, you get everything you need to sustain you. And we decided for 90 days, we're not going to go out of the house. We can go out in the yard, go out in the yard and stuff. But we're not. I mean, we're not going to engage in society. Right? Not going to use the internet. We're not going to buy it. We're not going to do any of that stuff. Not even watch TV. You get some video game or video uh, where you can watch. You can watch some videos. But read books. Take if we they won't last 30 days. If we all did that, the 99% of us, but with the 99% have been converted, most of them are hypnotized. Uh, they're hypnotized. I mean, the average hypnotized sheeple walking around, you can say, what Billy Boy and what Billy and Billy Boy and Rocky and the gangs are saying to them. This is five fingers. This is five fingers. And they're going, okay. So and so we go back to them and say, no, that's only four fingers. They look at us like, what? So you can't communicate with these people. So they're on that side. So there's not 99% of us anymore. It's probably down to maybe 30, 40%. That doesn't matter. If we stop engaging, we're not doing it, the machine turns off. Our power is in not doing. Our power is not in doing. You understand their weapons, right? They could melt your house. So not doing. And not doing is everything. You want to win an argument? Stop arguing. Stop talking. You want to get healthy? Stop eating. Anyway, Carrie, you've got all this going on. We've got to find out what those are, and there. It sounds like you have a variety of them, and I'm sure you find there's worms in your stools. I don't know if it's coming out of your skin. You got to collect them. We've got to collect them. There are ways to just go on the internet and look for specimen collection. If you Join the parasite group, Carrie, so I can talk to you and give you some like instructions on this. All right. So there we go. Okay. Oh, come on, come on. All right. Yeah. What is it? It's okay. Let me try that. Let me go back here. Okay, you guys. I'm gonna try to hook up this camera. Give me a second. I'm trying to hook it up. I need to plug that into that. Okay. Oh, it's not working anyway. It doesn't matter.
Is there audio now? Is there audio now? Audio? No? Yes? Okay. Anyway. All right, good. All right, thanks. All right. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna go a little bit over time. I hope you guys can stay awake for it, or because we lost so much time today. Um, insane. Okay, insane. Now, all right. Anyway, let's get back to our questions. So, I mean, I hope you understand, Carrie. You need to we need to get started on the protocol, and by the way, for I mean, a lot of times I see things. I don't know. I'm not don't know what else to call them that look like Morgellons. All right, and so and Morgellons, one medicine that's seems to work with Morgellons is doxycycline, 100 milligrams twice a day. Doxycycline. So got to get started on that. If you got worms and mites and stuff like that, the mites, get started on all that, and we got to collect it. So get them, uh, get them, collect them. So go online and look for ways to collect specimens. I am. I know, Pam. I always do discrimination. What's up? I don't know. I don't know, Pam. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it happens. I apologize. I uh anyway, so Carrie, we gotta collect them, and you gotta mark carefully where you got what from, and we need to get them analyzed so we know what we're dealing with. Okay, because this can be dealt with, but we have to know we gotta know what we have, right? So we gotta get a laboratory, get it evaluated in a laboratory. So it means we have to have a doctor's order and all that. So I can help that in many ways. So please join this parasite group so we can take care of this. Okay, Heather, breast CFCs. I am just completing a 3-week water fast for breast CFC, my right breast, and I have the chance to do a 5 hyperbaric oxygen uh, hyperbaric oxygen treatments in the next few weeks. I was considering doing all 5 in 1 week, and I'm wondering if you think it's worth the money and time. 2 days driving and $500. If I can only do 5, I won't have the opportunity to access the HBOT on a regular basis. All right, so Heather, it's not worth it. The 5 is not worth it. No, it's not. For hyperbaric oxygen to have the effect that we would like, it's got to be done consistently for a much longer period of time. I mean, 30, 60 days, but anyway, do this. Heather, I don't know if you're doing everything else because we have got to do everything else. Please remember this, okay? It's a change in your thought, and you if you're using their words. If you yes, doxycycline, yes, but you got to got to be monitored with looking at liver and things like that. Please remember, they made up this third entity, this called a disease. So you've got a process going on in your body that's adapting. You take that process and you turn it so it's a verb, it's a happening, it's a doing, and then it's turned into a noun, disease. Now we have an enemy. We can go after that enemy. And the enemy and the tools, the weapons are pharmacological and radiological. That's what we do, or surgical. Those are the tools, those are the weapons to get rid of this thing. There's no thing, there's a process going. So keep that in mind. So right now, in your right breast, you've got chronically fermenting cells. Not just you didn't inherit that. We wouldn't pass on such an absurd thing. They have completely. They've lied to us so thoroughly and for so long, and they've got us using their language that if you use their language, you're dead. You're on the Rockefeller death train, which ends at the morgue. And you're only going to find a morgue in a hospital. You're not going to find it in any other building in the world. And they don't have standalone morgues. Okay. That is the back door, the ultimate exit of the hospital. Don't go in the entrance. All right. I mean, please, come on. You've got, you're human beings, you're adults, you're rational. I don't mean if you got a broken leg, yeah, you go. Got a baby coming out feet first, yeah, you go. You've got to just, but I'm just saying for any condition in your body that's like a chronic condition, you don't go to them because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what health is. They haven't studied it. There's not even, there's like a half a unit of nutrition in medical school and 0 units on health. And if they don't know what health is, how the hell can they restore you to health? They can't. And it's not on their agenda. And it's not their goal. Their goal is to manage disease. Manage disease. It's, anyway, don't use their words. So first of all, Heather, the chronically fermenting cells, we got to make sure that process of fermentation is no longer required. And we do that by, as I said, stop producing them. That's cleansing, and we already discussed it earlier. Cleansing, balancing hormones, movement, going to sleep early, eating real food at the right time, at a time which results in health. I don't like to say good and bad. I mean, all those things, meditation, prayer. That's it. Second, we're going to target and eliminate without using toxins, and we can do that. If we have to use chemo because of a situation, and there are situations that we'll use it, but we'll use it rationally. The rational use of poison. If you got to use poison, okay, well let's make sure we hit the target and not anything that's not the target, right? All right, and that would be IPT, insulin potentiated therapy, which is where you use low dose chemotherapy with insulin. If we had to use it. And then third, we're going to need to restore the immune system because it's been completely disabled and disrupted. And there are ways of doing that. We've got to be doing all three. We can't do any one of them in a good way. Actually, if you really did the first part, it works. But so that's what we got to do, Heather. And fantastic you do 3 water fasts. That's fantastic. Now remember, every 5 days of water fasting, 1 day of eating melons. So 21 days. That's I would maybe do 5 days of water of melons. Any melon you want. You won't be able to eat that much. But remember, one of the hardest things about fasting is coming off the fast. When you come off the fast, remember, it's like if you had been resting your ankle because you had sprained it, it's been immobile now for a period of time. You're not going to get up and start jogging. Right? You need to ease into it slowly. So the way you ease into eating again slowly, because your body you won't be able to eat, is melons are the most digestible food for adult humans. Easily digested. and you're not worrying about the sugar, everyone's the glucose and all that stuff. These are natural carbohydrates that are needed, required by our body. Remember, our body, there's 3 macronutrients, amino acids, which they call proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. It's not an essential macronutrient. It's involved in so many other things than fuel. Our brain, is made. So anyway, carbohydrates have got, again, it's the language they use. The language, okay, so just understand that we need those things. We need them in a healthy form, in other words, in the way they're produced by nature, and we need them in the amount that we need. You don't need more. But in this case, this is the time the way you break a fast, a water fast. There's only one fast, water fast. Anything else is a diet, a liquid diet. I mean, juicing is a diet. You're getting nutrients. So I'm glad you did a 21-day water fast. Next time you'll do 41, and it'll all be over. You'll get. So the hyperbaric is not worth it unless you're going to do it for a long time, for a longer period of time. But you've got to make sure you're getting adequate vitamin C orally, because vitamin C does everything. Find my webinar on vitamin C. Vitamin D, vitamin A, the mixed carotenoids. It's not just carotenoids, it's the luteins and zeaxanthin, astaxanthin. All these are parts of the vitamin A family. And then you need the OD on that. You need the OD on the vitamin D and with K2. And you need to and the mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols, which are vitamin E. Right? And you've got a lot of those. And then melatonin, lots of it, up to 180 milligrams a night. You'll work your way up slowly. You've got to correct your thyroid iodine situation and your adrenals. And if you're over 40, you need something to restore thymic function so that you can make new T cells. And that means there's an enzyme called, there's a peptide called thymosin alpha 1 and lots of other things, but we need the balanced hormones, right? We need to balance them, not block them. So the vitamin E's are the okay. When you're doing a parasite cleanse, you're eating. So you can take the supplements anytime you normally do. So there's certain vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin E, and liposomal sodium ascorbate, which you want to take 2 grams 4 times a day, 2 grams 4 times a day. Liposomal sodium ascorbate. Sodium ascorbate. Okay. Those are all fat. So you can take those with the meal. They'll be absorbed. They'll be absorbed in the through the lymphatic system rather than through the duodenum. Which means that anyway. So you do all that while you're doing a parasite cleanse. But anyway, but if you're doing a water fast, that's when you stop everything because you're going to turn it over to God. So water fasting is not just an abstinence from nutrition, it's an abstinence from arrogance. It's an abstinence from vanity. It's an abstinence from, I did it my way. No, there's no your way. There's only the way, right? There's no my way, his way. There's only one way. That's it. By the way, what is the way to get healthy? There's only one way. Shouldn't be a secret, but it is. And nobody likes the answer. The answer is by living healthfully. Get that? So do we need, and part of that getting rid of the garbage is the antiparasitics and stuff like that. So where do you send all this stuff? That's the thing we've got to do. Okay, so I've been overseeing chronically over filling really like no telling. All right, so there's somebody here, Vena, is talking about, her immune system and all that. So here's the thing: where do you send this stuff to? You, we've got to get a lab that evaluates parasites. And the problem is, you usually need a doctor's order. So if you can join the group, and I can, or have a private meeting with me, I can help you with that. But we've got to find labs in your area that are, and they exist to evaluate parasites, what they are. And by the way, a lot of the experiences we're having, a lot of, for example, what we call flu, influenza, what we call all these things are actually directly caused by EMF. So that is another reason why we need to get Faraday clothing, protective clothing, protective housing. We're at war, folks. We are at war. I know we don't know it, but we are at war, and that's the greatest thing that the enemy could want to do. Let's don't tell them we're at war with them. Tell them that we're their friends protecting it. This is, and when I use the word diabolical, I mean diabolical. It's satanic. This is the level of it's a satanic level. John Davison Rockefeller, JD Rocky and the Boys, challenged humanity to a chess game, a 4-dimensional chess game that includes time in around 1890. Checkmate, was 2020. The right website, drlodi.com, 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 drlodi.com. That's my website. And there's a lot of people out there pretending to be me for some bizarre reason. They're not. The only groups I have are those 3 groups. That's it. I don't have other things anywhere. So, all right. Well, Trump was. It was all designed. They needed him in 2016 because the Trump Pelosi team divided America into 2 countries irrevocably. Then they needed him again in 2024 to lead us into totalitarianism. That's what happened. What's amazing to me is the regenerative capacity he has from eating fast food. It does it regardless. He gets shot in the ear and it heals to the point doesn't look like there was a shot. It's crazy. That is it. Faraday clothing, the one I was using was lambs, but I'm not sure that they're not the only ones, but lambs, LAMBS. They had great stuff. All right, so now Heather, the hyperbaric, it's just a waste. Don't do it. But got to get started on all this stuff. Join the group so I can give you like more specific for you stuff. But that's the overall we got to do. We've got to make our body. We got to put ourselves in a situation where these adaptive processes are no longer required because they're not. Okay, this is Alfonso. Chronic inflammation. What are the most fundamental triggers of chronic inflammation? And how can this be reversed for cancer, for CFCs, CV disease, and CKD? Okay, remember, see, they've got all these diseases. They've named these diseases. They've named these things. There is no cardiovascular disease. There is no uh, Alzheimer's. There is no diabetes. Where is it? Where is it? Is it an it? We're using it as a noun. If you have a noun, you've got to have an article, which is a, the, or an, right? And a noun is a person, place, or thing. That's what a word. That's the language. Okay, it's not a thing. It's a process. And the process is going on. Why? Because it it's in my genes. No, the only thing in your genes is you. Hopefully, get in your genes. And when I say jeans, I mean the stuff we're wearing on our. And you got a jean jacket. All right. So here, Alfonso, chronic. What are the most fundamental triggers of chronic inflammation, and how can this be reversed? Okay, so you're alluding to a really important concept, and that is one of the a universal adaptive physiological response underlying all chronic conditions is chronic inflammation. Inflammation is how the body heals. In an acute situation, inflammation will cause red, hot, swollen, and painful. Red, hot, swollen, and painful, and then it heals in a few days. That's acute inflammation. What's chronic inflammation? When you keep banging your finger. Allegorical. Okay, you keep whatever it is, the assault on the body, wherever it is, it's continuing. So now the chronic inflammatory state differs so much from acute inflammation that you it should be called something else other than inflammation. Because it's no longer trying to gobble and eat and eliminate and heal. It's now trying to protect from the assault. Right? So you go out in the yard and you're raking, you rake the leaves and you haven't done it in a year and you got blisters. If you don't do it again, they're going to heal within a few days. But if you keep doing it, those blisters become calluses. The body starts to proliferate, and right, our body will proliferate and grow blood vessels and all that stuff. That's a chronic inflammatory condition. So what's triggering that? Well, the chronic noxious stimuli to which you are being exposed, including chronic stress, chronic heavy metal breathing from chemtrails, chronic eating not food, chronic overeating, chronically not getting nutrients that you need. It goes on and on and on. There's so much. So it's all those things that violate anything that we take into our body that is not going to satisfy a biological requirement should not be taken in, because it will not require an inflammatory response to get rid of it. Yes, our gut, the whole thing, the inflammation, we have to have an inflammation in our gut to eliminate toxins. So remember, it's a deficiency or an excess of something we do need, or a toxicity, something we don't need. And that's what it is. Now, one of the most fundamental ways to deal with an internal ongoing stimulus for chronic inflammation is eating cooked food. Eating cooked food is seen by the body as a foreign substance, and this causes an inflammatory response. We've known this since the 1930s. Dr. Luigi Fontana at Washington University in St. Louis did a study where he looked at a cohort of raw vegans and a cohort of people who ate normal. the raw vegans were the minimum. I think the minimum period of time on 100% raw was 3.5 years. The rest, the rest of them had been longer. And they just looked at all these different blood tests, and one thing that's really rang loudly in my head was their CRP, C-reactive protein, HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is a good way of determining overall body distress, overall inflammation, systemic inflammation. And in the raw group, their CRP, HS were undetectable across the board. So, you know, um, so that's it. But anything else, I don't know if you're whatever you're being exposed to that is not required for life is an irritation and is causing inflammation. So our diets pretty much are going to give us an underlying low level of chronic inflammation. If we've got heavy metals, if we've got any other stored toxins in our fat, uh, our eating, our our thinking, our relationships, it's just it's really, I know. The thing is, it's so simple that people can't grasp it. We have to eliminate, we do a thorough detoxification. And that's, you're not even touching it at 3 weeks, but if you can do 3, that's great. But 6, 8 weeks, juice cleanse, colonics, lymphatics, movement, going to sleep early. Um, then you eat and live a life that doesn't expose you to any more toxins. And you have ways of detoxing. You enhance your detoxification abilities with eating real food. Taking extra tocopherols, uh, uh, carotenoids, ascorbate, a vitamin D, and all this stuff that helps. And so there's a lot to this program of restoring health. And it doesn't matter where you are. Okay, there are a multitude of locations that you can be that deviate from health, which is optimal functioning. So wherever you are, it's the same thing. It's just there's one path. And people don't like to know that. They no, I might, you don't know I have this, I'm different. No, we're not different. We're not different, baby. Understand that. We're not different in any way. We're not different in any way. I know you don't like that, and Brad Pitt doesn't like it either, but because he's special. Angelina, special. No, same. We're the same. Same anatomy. Oh yeah, yeah. If I were to have you under anesthesia and open your abdomen, I can find your hepatic artery in a second. I know where it is. I know where it is on him. I can find. We're the same. Believe me. Mild variations. Uh, Physiologically, therefore, because our anatomy defines our physiology, right? No audio. Is audio gone again? All right. Uh, where were we? Where the heck were we? Anybody help me with what I was talking? What was I talking about? What was I talking? I was so being carried away by that. I don't remember. So, no, we're not the same. I mean, we are the same. Okay, so physiologically, we're the same because our anatomy defines physiology, right? All right, and we're all the same, even though we think there are celebrities and they're the same, the same. And then emotionally, psycho-emotionally, we're all the same. We need love. We need to be loved. We need to be acknowledged, recognized, respected, uh, and we need to do that to other people. It makes us feel good. Um, we need, and the more money you have, the less sure you are of the people around you that how sincere they are. So we're not unique in any way. Okay, yes, some guy, a masochist, has interpreted pain as pleasure. Doesn't matter. He's still seeking pleasure. His interpretation of pleasure is pleasure. Just like we have varying sensitivities to sexual stimulation. Some people might think that's freaky, and other people. So, I mean, but it doesn't matter. We have the same needs. We have the same mind, body, physiology, and spirituality. That we're the same, and we'll only be satisfied by by one thing, and that is to reconnect with God. But the only thing that will, because we're disconnected now, and the major. The abyss between us and God is a place called the mind, which is the house of Maya. That's where it all is. It's all myth, not real, not real. All right. And so, yeah, but so it's just not just parasites first. No, not just the parasites first. Parasites while you're cleaning. Because here's the thing: if you've got rid of all the parasites, and your body is a toxic dump, they'll be back, and so will other things be back. You've got to restore your body's ability to thrive, heal. Okay, because whatever you had in you has probably uh, undermined the physiology of your physiology in one way or another, and it needs to be healed. And you have to be capable of healing. All right. So anyway, all right, let's look at the next person. A lot of the similar questions here. This is charisma. Who do you recommend for parasites in Washington State? I've seen multiple doctors and even a few NP nurse practitioners, but no one can figure it out. I worry for my kids. I'm honestly worried to this point, and I'm willing to travel to you. PC has referred us to ID. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, PC. Oh, your primary care has referred you to ID, infectious disease doctor, 5 times, and they won't take us. They won't do it. Yeah. You understand. I hope you understand. I hope you all understand. Politicians do not care about you. You know that. They don't care about you at all. They care about themselves and maintaining the structure in which they are living, which is their political system. Doctors don't care about you. But my doctor, okay, maybe your doctor cares, but then why would he continue to poison you? All right, why would they continue to poison you? They do. If they cared, they wouldn't poison. And they only function and operate out of the algorithm for which they were handed by the professional society to which they belong. So if they're surgeons, the American College of Surgery, or whatever country you're in, American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, ASCO, the American Society of Clinical Oncology, whatever it is they hand down, they give to their members uh, uh, recommendations on how to proceed, right? They're not recommendations, they're instructions. You do it or you're going to be. Yeah. So, anyway, they don't care because if you die, that's an expected outcome. If your head falls off, oh, that's very rare. That's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. They don't care. They took a Hippocratic oath to do no harm to their careers. They didn't take a Hippocratic oath to do no harm to their patients. All right, you understand that? And they don't know what they're doing. If you're practicing regular, I was trained. Good place, Columbia, New York City. I got the best training. And then so, if you're trained and you continue to do that, then I think somehow people are able to convince themselves that what they're really seeing is not, they're not seeing it. And then they take the other explanation. I don't know how they do that. Because you can't practice medicine. You can't work in the hospitals and not know what you're doing to people. You can't do it. There's no way you cannot. So you have to somehow do something. And you're doing it. Why? Because you're protecting yourself. I had a woman who had a widely disseminated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, was told she's going to die. She was a single mom, told she should find someone to take care of her child when she dies. She came to us, and after 6 months, everything was clear. She went back, showed the guy the PET scan, and said, "You want to know what I did?" And he said, "No." He said, "No." At least he was honest. Why doesn't he want to know? Because, first of all, he already knows that there are ways of doing it. Number two, if he knows formally and he really has the whole idea in his mind, it's going to mess with his ability to justify to himself what he's doing. And his goal is not to do that. His goal is to follow the rules and be patted on the back by his buddies and the societies and get awards and get free golf games and whatever it is and wind up whatever their absurd, insane scenario that they want to build for themselves. Anyway, the point is this: they don't care about you. The politicians don't care about you. The doctors don't care about lawyer. My lawyer. Your lawyer has a duty to the law. The law is what was the law made for? You think the law was made for justice? Then why is it only the people that are the proletariat are subjected to law? You think Bill Gates will ever go to court? Come on. For having paralyzed, sterilized thousands of people and killed people. Never. You think Obama's going to go? No. There's no law. Law is how you control the poor. And poor means if you're not in the elite. If you're just an average millionaire, the proletariat are controlled by law. You got money, you buy your way out of things, right? What does that mean? There's such thing as justice. Justice is karma, and it comes to us all. And that's the one thing you cannot escape. As you sow, so shall you reap. Karma is the law of the universe. Anyway, well, I think he's beyond earning money now. He's got that. His goal now is power. Anyway, there's no power. There's only one power in the universe, and that's God's power. And we're all living in it. But these guys are allowed. Their contribution to this drama, human drama, is obviously necessary since it's happening. And I don't understand it. I just know that we've got to disconnect, you guys. I'm telling you, got to disconnect. You remember what Jenny said to Forrest Run, Forrest, run. It's time to run, Forrest. And we're not gonna can't. Anyway, sorry for all that stuff. And okay, so you got so many questions. I'm so sorry. Today was horrible. I couldn't get on. I still can't get the camera working. I'm really sorry. Anyway, you guys, sawadee ka, namaste, namaskar, aloha, and I'll see you next week. And I'll have a working camera. Aloha.